restore style class. So for the first 30 to 40 minutes, we'll do a vinyasa style flow. And then for the last 15 to 20 minutes, we'll do a restorative session of class. So we'll do lots of longer holds and deeper stretches. So you'll want to have some props for that part of class. So I have 2 yoga blocks with me. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can use 2 pillows instead, just something comfy. Doesn't need to be quite as thick as a block, but something that will add support. And then you'll also need a blanket. So just any blanket that you have lying around, just an average size blanket. And when you're ready, we're gonna get started in child's pose. Bring your big toes to touch, have a slight gap in between the knees, just giving the belly a little bit of space to fall towards the ground. Rest your forehead on the mat. You do have a blanket and a block or a pillow nearby, so if your head is feeling kind of far from the mat today, you can build up some space to bring the mat a little bit closer to you. And as you sink your hips back towards your heels, walk your fingertips even further out in front of you, stretching that space right below the armpits and the side body. Take a moment here to become a witness. Observe your breath, what's going on in the mind, how's the body feeling. And then we'll put all of that off to the side and start to take some deep, even breaths. Gradually trying to make our inhales and exhales the same length. And as you bring your awareness to your breath, see if you can sink the hips back a little bit further. See if you can walk the fingertips a little bit longer. Notice where the breath is moving in the body. Just take 5 more deep breaths here. And the next time you inhale, take your biggest in-breath so far of the day. In through the nose, hold at the top, and then exhale, sigh it out. Letting the air go out the mouth. Blinking the eyes open, finding a little bit of movement in the body, and eventually making your way up to a tabletop position. Stacking your wrists under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. We'll find 3 rounds of cat-cow, inhaling to drop the belly and lift the gaze. Exhaling to tuck the chin, round through the spine. Really press the mat away from you. 2 more rounds, inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts, tailbone lifts. Exhale, chin tucks, spine rounds. 1 more time, just like that. Maybe staying in each of these postures for an extra breath or 2, maybe finding a little bit of movement. And then find your cat pose. Spread the shoulder blades apart from one another, creating space in the back body. Again, extra breath or 2 here. And then come back to a neutral tabletop position. Remember that the neck is an extension of the spine, so keep it nice and long. And from here, just step your left foot back as if you were moving into a high plank. And just take some rocks back and forth. Bringing the shoulders past the wrists to stretch them out. And then bringing that left heel all the way towards the ground, stretching out the back of the left leg. Do that a couple more times, back and forth, as fast or as slow as you want. And then come back through center, really spread wide through the fingertips, flex the left foot, and just lift it up to hip height. Keep that belly button pulling in and up. Press firmly into all 5 of the fingers on the left hand, and then just come onto the right fingertips. And once you find your balance there, maybe lift the right fingertips off the mat and send them long in front of you. Activating our core here early in class. Take an inhale, grow a little bit longer. And on your exhale, pull your knee and your elbow in towards one another. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Twice more. The slower the better. One more time. And then once you find yourself back out long, take your right arm towards the top right corner of the mat and the back leg towards the back left corner of the mat, creating some instability here, active through the obliques. For 3, 2, on 1, keep the right hand lifted. Drop the left knee back to where it was. And inhale to reach the right fingertips up to the sky. Find an open twist. Breathe here. One more big breath in. Reach a little bit higher. And on your exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left. Palm faces up. Right shoulder, right ear, come down to the mat. You can keep your left hand where it is. You can walk the left hand out in front of you. If binds are in your practice, you can take that left hand behind the back, grabbing for the right hip crease. Wherever you are, pull your left hip back. Stay here for 3 deep breaths. Last breath here. And if you took that left hand somewhere else, start to make your way back to the mat, bringing the left hand underneath the left shoulder. Press into the left palm, reach the right fingertips back up to the sky, open up, and then come back to your tabletop position. Feel free to reposition if you have to. And we'll find 3 more rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale, tuck the chin, round through the spine. 2 more, nice and slow. We'll meet back in a neutral tabletop position. This time sending the right leg back as if we're coming into a high plank. Taking some rocks back and forth, shoulders past the wrists, and then the right heel reaches back behind you, stretching the right calf. Couple more. And then as you're ready, we'll come back to center, flexing through the right foot, lifting it up to hip height, coming on to the left fingertips, and then maybe taking them off of the mat and sending them straight out in front of you. Really hug that belly button in and up, holding here. And then inhale, lengthen the fingers and the toes away from one another. Exhale, crunch elbow to knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. 3 more. Go as slow as you can. And after your 3rd round, we'll meet with the arm and the leg long. Taking the left hand towards the top left corner of the mat, the right foot towards the bottom right corner of the mat. Holding here, strong in the core for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1. The left arm stays lifted, but the right knee drops back down. Inhale, reach the left hand up, find that open twist, and then thread the left arm underneath the right, coming down to the left shoulder, the left ear, pulling the right hip back, maybe walking the right hand out in front of you. Option to bind, looking for the left hip crease. If you did so on the other side, just take 3 breaths. And if you took the right hand somewhere else, start to take it back to the mat underneath the right shoulder, pressing into the right palm, reaching the left fingertips up to the sky, twisting once more, and then bringing the left hand back down to meet the right. Walk the hands slightly forward of the shoulders, spread the fingertips nice and wide, tuck the toes and lift the hips to the sky, downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, find any movement that feels good. I'm going to walk my feet in a little bit closer towards my hands and bring my feet to the long edges of the mat. I'm going to take my left hand underneath my right and grab for my right ankle, calf, or thigh, finding a twist, bringing that body underneath the right arm, taking the gaze past the right armpit. Coming back through center when you're ready. And if you're with me, take that right hand underneath the left, grab for the left ankle, calf, or thigh this time. Pull the body underneath the left arm and take the gaze up past the left armpit. Breathing here. Eventually make your way back to center, finding your downward facing dog once more. Bending the knees, gazing towards your hands, bringing the chest to the thighs, and then tucking the chin to the chest, lifting the hips up to the sky. Let's do that again. Bend the knees, bring the chest to the thighs, gaze forward, just momentarily send the hips back. And then tuck the chin towards the chest, lift the hips, drop the heels, settle in. 3 breaths. After your 3rd exhale, bend the knees again. Take your gaze towards your hands and slowly walk your feet all the way up towards the top of the mat. Take a couple extra steps than you normally would, letting your weight come into the fingertips, finding your feet as close as you can towards your hands, and then bending the knees and folding forward. Find a ragdoll, grab opposite elbows. If a shoulder opener sounds good for you right now, interlace the hands behind the back, keeping the heels of the hands touching. Take them up and over the head, only as far as is comfortable. Eventually unwinding, allowing the fingertips to come back down to the ground, tucking the chin to the chest, and slowly rolling up to standing, 1 vertebrae at a time. Your head will be the last thing to come up. We'll meet in mountain pose for 3 cleansing breaths. When you inhale, take the shoulders, up to the ears. And when you exhale, slide them down the back and release your exhale. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale, let it go. Last one, inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale, let it go. We'll do one classical sun salutation, moving with the breath. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands come through heart center, fold forward. Keep the knees bent if you'd like. Hands come down to the mat. Inhale, hands to the shins, look up halfway, spine is long. Exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot back, drop the back knee, untuck the toe. Inhale, rising up, low lunge. Take a deep breath in here. And on your exhale, plant the hands, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, step back with the left foot so you're in a high plank. Take an inhale here. On your exhale, send your weight forward, shoulders past the wrists, bending the elbows and lowering all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, squeeze the elbows together. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Exhale, release. 2 more. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Exhale, release. Last one, inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Stay here. And then tuck the toes and lift the hips back. Downward facing dog. And from your downward dog, inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, step it in between the hands. Drop the back knee, untuck the toes. Inhale, rising up, low lunge. Take a big breath in here. And on your exhale, plant the hands to frame the front foot. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rooting to rise. Reach up, look up. Exhale, hands come through heart center and back to mountain pose. So that's half a classical sun salutation. Let's do the other side. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands come through heart center, hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the hands, step the left foot back, drop the knee, untuck the toes. Inhale, lift up, low lunge. Stay in this low lunge for an extra breath. Maybe cactus the arms, sink the hips even further forward. One more inhale here. And on your exhale, plant the hands, step back, high plank, shifting the weight forward and lowering all the way down to the ground. Inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Exhale, release. Let's inhale, lift up, baby cobra. Press into the tops of the feet. Lift the hands. Use the strength of your low back to hold you up here. One more inhale. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Hands off the mat, baby cobra. One more inhale. Exhale, plant the hands, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Downward facing dog. Take a big breath in, lift the left leg high. Exhale, step it in between the hands, drop the back knee, untuck the toes, lifting up, low lunge. Inhale here. Exhale, cactus the arms, open them to 2 90-degree angles. Sink the hips and the pelvis down. One more big breath in. And on your exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot forward to meet the left. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Stay in this fold, separate the feet, hips width distance apart, the space of 2 of your own fists. Grab your big toes with your peace sign fingers, bend the knees a lot, bend the elbows, fold forward. Using the strength of your biceps to pull the crown of the head down towards the ground. Keeping your chest and thighs connected, maybe starting to straighten the knees and setting the hips a little bit higher. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Last one. Release the fingers from the big toes. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up to standing. Reach up, look up. Exhale, back through to mountain pose. We'll do 2 rounds of sun salutation in A. On your next inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, high plank. Shoulders come past the wrists, lower down halfway, low plank. Inhale, tops of the feet, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take 5 breaths here. Stay in downward facing dog. Option to drop the elbows if you want to build a little bit more heat in the shoulders. Two more. If you came down to the forearms, press into both hands at the same time. Lift back up, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, send your chest towards your thighs. Take a little hop towards the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Again, staying in this forward fold. Separate the feet 2 hips width distance, 2 fists apart. Slide the hands underneath the feet and bring your toes to your wrist creases, bending the knees and the elbows, using the strength of the biceps to fold. Three breaths. The next time you inhale, look up halfway. See if you can remove both of the hands at the same time. Halfway lift with the fingers down. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way up, look up. Exhale, hands come through heart center and back to mountain pose. We'll do one more sun A. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the hands, step or jump back through your chaturanga and hold. Press back up, high plank, and then back down, chaturanga. One more time, back up, high plank, back down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, tops of the feet. Exhale, downward facing dog. Five breaths. Remember, you can always drop the knees and find a child's pose or a seated meditation, taking this opportunity to come back to the breath. Just a few more breaths. If you went somewhere else, start to make your way back to downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, bring the big toes to touch. Inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, step it in between the hands, rising up, crescent lunge. Really press into the back of the left leg, finding lots of power through the glute here. You might heel toe that right foot a little farther over to the right. Create a more stable base here. Really rooting down through all four corners of the right foot. I'm catching myself shifting off to the side. And we'll find a little flow here. So you're going to bring your hands down to heart center, drop the left knee to hover it just a couple inches above the mat, and then press into the right heel, bring the hands to a low V, and bring your left knee in towards your chest. And then bring your hands to heart center, drop the left knee, low lunge, hovering. And then come up, standing knee into chest. Let's do that a couple more times. Finding your flow, lots of power in the right glute. The core is on. 2 more. Last one here. And the next time your left knee is in towards your chest, bring the hands up to the sky and straighten out that left leg in front of you, pointing through the toe, holding for 5, 4, strong for 3, 2, on 1, warrior 3, bring the hands to the heart, send the left leg all the way back, hinge forward at the hips, finding this challenging balance pose, squeezing the inner thighs together, belly buttons in. A few more breaths here. You can airplane the arms. You can send them out long in front of you. That's a tricky one. Just another breath. We're going to make a slow transition to warrior 1. Very slowly bend the right knee. Step the left toes back so they're facing the top left corner of the mat. And reach the fingertips up to the sky. Warrior 1. Pulling the right hip back and the left hip forward. Take an inhale here. And then interlace the hands behind the back. Exhale, open the heart. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. 1 more inhale here. Exhale, fold forward inside of the right leg. Humble warrior. Opening up the shoulders. Pulling the right hip back. Two more breaths. And the next time you inhale, rise all the way up. Warrior 1. Exhale, plant the hands. Step back to your high plank and lower down through your vinyasa. Low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. We'll take that right to the other side. Just take a cleansing breath in down dog. Big breath in through the nose. Exhale, side out. Bring the big toes to touch. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, step it through, rising up, crescent lunge. Really strong in the back leg. Again, you might need to heel toe that left foot out to the left side of the mat. Create a wider, more stable base. Couple breaths here. And then as you're ready, the hands will come through heart center. We'll find that same flow. The right knee hovers just a couple inches above the mat. And then press into the left heel and lift up, bring the right knee into the chest. Arms are at a low V. And then slowly step it back. Low lunge, hover the back knee. And then come up to standing, right knee into chest. Lots of strength in the left glute and in the core. Couple more. Just do one more here. And then the next time you're standing with the right knee into the chest, you'll hold there. Bringing the hands up to the sky and straightening through the right leg, pointing the toe, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, on 1, warrior 3, hands through heart center, hinge at the hips, lower down, always have something in the way. Squeeze the inner thighs together, do what you'd like with the hands. Just a couple more. And we'll make that same slow transition to warrior 1. Gently bending into the left knee, stepping the right foot back, planting it completely. Right toes face the top right corner of the mat. Hands reach up to the sky. Left hip pulls back. The right hip pulls forward. And we're here in Warrior One. Breathing deeply. The next time you inhale, interlace the hands behind the back, open through the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades. Exhale, fold forward, humble warrior. Left hip pulls back. Hands up and over the head. Try and keep the heels of the hands touching if you can. 2 more deep breaths. The next time you inhale, we'll come all the way up, Warrior One, unwinding the hands, reaching the fingertips up. And then exhale, plant the hands, step back through your vinyasa, lowering down to your low plank, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths in between sides, or rather in between sequences. You have options here, so you can bring your hands, your elbows back down if you were playing with that variation. You can play with lifting one leg and then the other, shifting your weight into your elbows. Or you can always drop the knees, find a child's pose, catch your breath before our next standing sequence. And on the next few breaths, start to make your way back to downward facing dog. I'm going to face the back of the mat, but you can face the front of the mat. And once you've arrived in your down dog, take an inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky, open the hip. Stay here, take a breath in, and then exhale, bring the right knee all the way in towards the left elbow or tricep. Give it a tap. And then come back, open up the hip. Right knee reaches up to the sky. Let's do that 2 more times. Right knee to left tricep. Open up, bend the knee, 3-legged dog. 1 more time, right knee, left tricep, give it a tap. And then open up, stay here. Draw some big circles with the knee or the ankle, or maybe you find wild thing, planting the right foot behind the left leg. Maybe coming onto the ball of the right foot, lifting that right heel, pressing the hips up to the sky, and then eventually coming back, 3-legged dog, right leg lifts, and the right foot steps in between the hands, rising up, Warrior Two. Holding here. Relax the shoulders, slow down the breath. Squeeze your right heel and your left inner foot together to really light up those inner thighs. We'll be here for 3. I'm sweating. The next time you inhale, flip your front palm, reverse the warrior. Keep that bend in the front knee. Really lengthen the right side of the body. 1 more inhale. And on your exhale, right forearm to right thigh. Left fingertips up and over the head. Side angle. Spiral that left side of the chest open and spiral the left pinky down towards the floor. Let's find a little flow. Inhale, we'll reverse. Exhale, we'll find side angle. 1 breath per movement. more times. And the next time you find yourself in your side angle pose, we'll hold left fingertips up and over the head. Maybe you draw a line on the horizon with those left fingertips, bringing the left arm past the left leg, opening that shoulder. And then maybe your left hand finds your right hip crease, finding a half bind. From here, you might take your right hand down to the mat. You can always just bring your fist down, opening up that left shoulder, keeping the right knee bent, taking 3 breaths. And then slowly start to bring the right forearm back to the right thigh. Unwind the left arm, send it up and over the head. Take an inhale here, make your way back to warrior 2 for just a breath. And then cartwheel the hands, step back to your high plank. Listen carefully, we'll come back to low plank. And then we'll inhale to come forward, upward facing dog. And then we'll stay here, take a couple extra breaths. Gaze past each shoulder, find a little bit of twisting in the spine. And then as an added challenge here, you'll tuck the toes, come back to low plank, and then press back, downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here in between sides. I'm going to face the opposite direction. And whenever you're ready, make sure you're back in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky, open the hip, bending the left knee, sending it up. Inhale here. Exhale, left knee to right knee or tricep, give it a tap. Inhale, lift, bend the knee, open the hip. Exhale, left knee, right tricep, tap. Last time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, left knee, right tricep. And then inhale, lift up. Stay here, opening up the hip. Maybe find wild thing, planting the right foot, coming onto the left toes, lifting the hips up to the sky, and taking the left arm up and over the head. Eventually coming back through 3-legged dog, reaching the left leg up, and then stepping the left foot in between the hands and opening up, warrior 2. Again, recommit to your breath here. Relax your shoulders. Squeeze the feet together as if they can meet in the middle and touch. Light up those inner thighs. Three breaths. The next time you inhale, flip the front palm, reverse the warrior, keeping that bend in the front knee, lengthening the left side of the body. Take another inhale here, and on your exhale, bring the left forearm down to the left thigh, right fingertips sweep up and over the head, spiraling the right pinky down, and the right side of the chest up. Holding here. And then we'll find a little flow. Again, maybe switch the breath this time. Inhale, side angle. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale, back to side angle. Exhale, reverse. Nice fluid movement here. It's like a dance with the breath. Couple more rounds. The next time you find yourself in your side angle pose, stay and breathe. Maybe you take those right fingertips, draw a line across the horizon, sending the right arm behind the right leg, opening that right shoulder, and maybe you grab for that left hip crease. You can stay here in this half bind. Maybe you bring the left hand down to the ground. You can always come onto the fist. Really focus on opening that right shoulder, taking your gaze to the sky. And to come out of this, we'll slowly bring the left forearm back to the left thigh. Unwind the right fingertips, bring them up and over the head. Inhale, find warrior two for just a breath. And then exhale, plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Same option for that challenge here. You can lower down and then inhale, upward facing dog. Stay an extra breath. Maintaining space in the low back. Taking some twists side to side. And then maybe you tuck the toes, come back to your low plank, and then back to your downward facing dog. And when you arrive, take a child's pose. Drop the knees, untuck the toes, hips to heels, and breathe. When you're ready, just make your way to a seated position. Feel free to drink water or wipe sweat. I recommend sitting up on one of your pillows, your blankets, or your blocks, just finding a nice seated meditation. We'll find a minute or two just to observe before we move on to the restorative portion of this class. Maybe bring the backs of the hands to the knees with the palms facing up. Maybe you bring your hands to your heart. Notice that it might be beating a little bit faster than normal. Take a moment here to just take in the effects of your physical asana practice. If anything was challenging or frustrating or boring, just let it go. Reconnect with your breath. Reconnect with yourself. Allow the belly to rise as you inhale, and the navel to gently pull into the spine as you exhale. And as your breaths become longer and filled with your attention and awareness, notice how the heart starts to slow back down. The mind might slow. The body might start to cool down. Preparing our bodies for total relaxation. Restorative yoga, we use lots of props to make sure that our practice is gentle and supportive and allows us to just completely let go. So even if you don't regularly use props in your yoga practice, I really recommend using them for this next part of class. Just a couple more breaths here, enjoying the quiet. Next time you exhale, just gently blink the eyes open. Take a couple half circles with the neck. A little bit of slow movement, maybe rolling out the wrists. Switching directions. And we'll set up for our first restorative posture of class. So we're starting today with a restorative wide-legged forward fold. So this will be pretty gentle on the low back, a nice stretch for the hamstrings and the inner thighs. You're gonna bring your legs out to a wide V. So for some people that might be more like a splits pose. For some people that might be a more narrow V, depending on what feels good in your body. And then again, we're gonna use our props here. So take your pillows, your blankets, your blocks, and you're just gonna stack them on top of each other. So you can make it as high or as low as you like. And then take your blanket and just place it on top of that space. So if you need any, if you need any extra pillows or anything, you can go ahead and stack those now. The purpose of this stack is to just bring the floor closer to you so that we can really just relax into this forward fold. Just let the forehead rest on the props. So this is actually a little bit high for me, so I'm not really feeling enough. If you're feeling too much, you'll build your stack higher. If you're not feeling enough, you might stack yourself up a little bit lower. And then just let your forehead come down to the mat. You can hug the props with the hands or send them out long. And just play with the placement of the props. So if you want more length in the spine, you can bring the props further out in front of you. If you want more of a rounding in the spine, gentler on the low back, or bring the props closer to you. We'll be here for 2 to 3 minutes, so maybe you do a little bit of each. All you need to do here is watch your breath. Soft inhales, gentle exhales. And just know that you're not stuck wherever you choose to be. You can always find something more comfortable. As you settle in, if it would feel good to add or subtract props, you can go for it, depending on if you're feeling a little bit more open today or a little bit tighter. About 5 to 7 more deep breaths here. A place in the body. And just let it be a little bit softer. Maybe it's the shoulders, the jaw, the eyes. As this posture starts to feel complete in your body, you'll gently start to walk the hands back into center, really taking your time to come out of this. Stacking the head back over the shoulders And eventually removing props. Keep a pillow or a block nearby and just take it to the inside of the right leg, resting the right forearm on the block or the pillow and reaching the left fingertips up and over the head, side body stretch. Focus on reaching past the right foot, not necessarily getting the hand to touch the foot. That left glute is still planted on the mat. It's not coming up. We're not dumping into the right side. 2 breaths. And then we'll take it to the other side. Gently come back through center, placing the block to the inside of the left leg, resting the left forearm on the block, and taking the right arm up and over the head. Reaching past those left toes, or pretending that you're going to. Nice and long. 2 breaths. When you're ready, slowly come out of it. And we'll set up for a restorative fish pose, which is a nice gentle back bend. So all you'll need for this pose is your blanket. So you want to take your blanket and make sure it's folded up into a rectangle. And we're going to take this rectangle and we're going to fold it into like a little cylinder or like a skinny burrito or a hot dog bun, I guess. And we're going to roll it up. And then when you're finished, it will look like this. So if your blanket's thicker than mine, this will be more of a back bend, and if your blanket is thinner than mine, this will be less of a back bend. So when you're finished there, you're gonna take your blanket on your mat. We're gonna come to lie down. You want the bottom of the blanket to be right at your sacrum, so that triangular bone at the base of the spine, right before your tailbone. You're gonna just lie down on your back. You might need to do some adjusting here. And depending on the length of your blanket, your head and your neck might stay on the blanket here, but if your blanket is a little bit shorter, your head will kind of come back and pass the blanket. And I actually prefer that because it's a gentle opening for the throat as well. So I kind of like to curl my blanket up and just bring it right to the base of the skull. Adjust your hair if it's in the way, like mine. And then just let your arms fall out to the sides. Again, take a minute to get comfortable here. And experiment with what feels good for you. So if it would feel better to plant the feet and have the knees reaching up to the sky, or to bring the soles of the feet to touch and find Supta Baddha Konasana. Do what feels good. Again, you're not committed to this place. You can change, you can grow, you can do whatever you'd like. So if it would feel better to make adjustments, feel free to do that. Mind starts to wander, just bring your awareness back to your breath. Notice that you've let go, notice that you've gone somewhere else. And just come back to right now. Just a couple more breaths. Pose. We'll gently roll to our right or our left side, gathering the knees into the chest, rolling off of the blanket, and then just gently coming back up to a seated position. And we'll set up for our second to last restorative posture, which is Supta Baddha Konasana. So go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to touch and let the knees go out wide. We're going to use our blocks here. And with the blocks, you can take them to the outside of the thighs or underneath the knees. So we're just creating a little bit of extra comfort here to let gravity do the work so we can really settle into this pose, opening the hips and the thighs. Might need to adjust the blocks. And then as we come into these more restorative postures, the body temperature starts to cool. So maybe you use your blanket, cover yourself up. Get nice and comfy. I wish I had somebody to cover my feet right now. Oh well. I like to place one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly. Just about another minute here. The breath starts to slow even more. You can stay here for as long as you'd like, but when this posture feels complete in your body, you'll take your hands to the outsides of the thighs and just press the knees in towards one another. Maybe give yourself a nice tight squeeze. Rocking from side to side, the knees into the chest. And then just go ahead and remove the blocks.
We'll go right into our restorative Shavasana. So you can take this as a more traditional Shavasana with the legs and the arms out long. You can take your legs up a wall or on top of a couch or a chair. Again, you can cover yourself with a blanket. If your blanket is still rolled up in that burrito shape, you can stick it right underneath your knees. That'll be a little bit gentler on your low back. And when you come into this final resting pose, know that that is all you have to do. Just rest. Breath is back to natural. Muscles are heavy, melting into the mat, melting away from the bones. You can stay here as long as you like, taking at least 5 minutes to complete a rest of the body.